In the world of global finance, there's this silent, super high-stakes competition that's always playing out. And it's not really countries against countries, it's cities. They're all fighting to be the #1 financial hub on the planet. Today, we're going to dive right into that battle, and we're zeroing in on one very ambitious contender.
So you might be thinking, okay, but why does this ranking even matter? Well, let me tell you, it's about so much more than just bragging rights. A city's standing as a financial hub, that determines its power to pull in trillions in global capital, attract the smartest people from all over the world, and create just massive economic opportunities. It's basically the ultimate magnet for money and talent.
And this is where our story really kicks off. In the latest Global Financial Center Index, Taipei comes in at 70th. Now, that number is a huge deal, and here's why. Back in 2010, Taipei was way up there, sitting pretty at 19th place. That is a dramatic slide down the rankings, and it sets up this massive challenge, right? How in the world do you climb back up that ladder?
Right, so this isn't just about one city's ambition. It's really about a fierce regional competition. The race to become Asia's go-to financial center is, believe me, more intense than it has ever been.
And here's a look at the sheer scale of that challenge, just to put it into perspective. While Taipei is sitting at 70th, its neighbors are absolute powerhouses. Hong Kong is 3rd in the world, Singapore is 4th, and even a newer hub like Shenzhen is already at 9th. That gap, it isn't just big. It creates this powerful, palpable sense of urgency.
So, what's the game plan? In response to all this, Taiwan's government has kicked off a massive, multi-year initiative. The goal? To completely transform its financial landscape and, hopefully, turn this whole tide around.
And let me tell you, they are not being shy about their goals. This right here is the official slogan from Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission. It's a clear, time-bound promise of action. They're not just crossing their fingers and hoping for change, they're literally putting a deadline on it. This signals that, hey, this isn't just talk, it's a structured plan with very clear milestones.
Okay, so the plan is built on these 5 core pillars that all work together. First, you've got expanding asset management and beefing up wealth services. That's to attract the world's richest investors. Then, the idea is to keep that capital in the country by boosting local investment and funneling it into things like public infrastructure. And all of this is done while promoting sustainable finance, which is absolutely crucial to stay in line with global trends.
A grand vision is one thing, right? But how do you actually make it happen on the ground? Well, the blueprint is being turned into a series of very concrete, very specific actions.
So here's the playbook, step by step. First, attract the money by basically rolling out the red carpet for wealthy individuals. Next, give that money more interesting places to go by innovating new financial products. At the exact same time, they're creating these special economic zones that have friendlier regulations, making it way easier for global talent and investment to just flow right in.
And you know what? We are already seeing some pretty big results. This push to cater to high-net-worth clients has already attracted over 1.5 trillion new Taiwan dollars in managed assets. This shows the strategy is definitely working. The capital is starting to flow.
Part of the strategy also involves introducing more sophisticated financial tools. Take these new active ETFs, for example. So, unlike a typical ETF that just kind of passively mirrors an index, these are actively managed by pros whose whole job is to try and beat the market. This gives investors in Taiwan a much more dynamic and potentially higher return option, which of course makes the whole market more attractive.
You can't have a modern financial hub without a thriving startup scene. It just doesn't work. And that's exactly the idea behind the Taiwan Innovation Board 2.0. By getting rid of restrictions on who can invest, they're essentially trying to build their own version of the NASDAQ, a launchpad to help that next generation of innovative companies get the funding they need to really grow.
And this whole plan isn't just happening in Taipei. The government is creating a dedicated asset management zone down in the major southern port city of Kaohsiung. And that move, well, it shows a really strategic effort to build financial hubs all across the island, not just concentrating everything in the capital. And that Kaohsiung zone is already taking shape. I mean, with dozens of institutions and business areas already approved, the goal is crystal clear: create a one-stop shop for international finance. By focusing on making cross-border transactions as seamless as possible, they're showing everyone this isn't just some future plan. It is happening right now.
Now, building a financial hub from the ground up is obviously really tough. So where can Taiwan look for a little inspiration? Let's turn to a really fascinating case study, the tiny European nation of Luxembourg.
I mean, on the surface, Taiwan and Luxembourg couldn't seem more different. But here's the question that's so interesting. How did Luxembourg, a country smaller than most major cities, become the world's second largest center for investment funds, right behind the United States? The answer to that holds some really important lessons for Taiwan.
So it turns out, Luxembourg's success was really built on three key pillars: smart tax incentives, a flexible but strong legal framework, and deep professional expertise. And what's so fascinating is just how closely Taiwan's strategy mirrors this playbook. They're also focusing on targeted incentives, they're relaxing laws in these special zones, and they're working hard to cultivate that specialized talent. The parallel is pretty striking.
And this little chart right here reveals a huge secret to Luxembourg's success. Over 80% of its funds use this special corporate structure called a CCAV. Okay, so why does that even matter? It matters because it offers incredible legal and operational flexibility, which is exactly what global fund managers are looking for. The key takeaway is this: it's not just about low taxes, it's about having the right legal tools in your toolbox to attract a really diverse range of global investors.
Okay, so we've seen the plan and we've seen the benchmark. But how is Taiwan actually doing so far? Let's take a look at the report card and the challenges that are definitely still ahead.
All right, on the key metric, which is growing assets under management, the plan is making some really solid progress. The goal for the first 2 years was a 4 trillion NT dollar increase. They've managed to bring in over 2.8 trillion, hitting about 71% of that target. That's a substantial gain for sure, even if they aren't quite at 100% just yet.
And this, right here, is a big win. The government set a goal to amend 30 laws and regulations within 2 years to make the whole environment more business-friendly. They've already blown past that, having relaxed 32. This shows a really serious commitment to cutting red tape and making those crucial structural changes.
But at the end of the day, as this expert quote really highlights, attracting global capital isn't just about the numbers or passing a few new laws. The real long-term challenge is building trust. Global investors have to see Taiwan as a place with stability, with predictability, and a rock-solid legal environment. That is the true finish line. So, there you have it. Taiwan has a really detailed blueprint and a successful model to follow in Luxembourg. The initial results are promising, and the commitment, it seems, is definitely there. But this race is a marathon, not a sprint, and the competition is incredibly fierce. So the final question really remains, will this trillion-dollar bet be enough to put Taipei back on the top tier of the global financial map? That's the story we're all going to be watching.